guys, welcome back to my channel. Today is day 11 of Bookmas, so close to the end now. And yesterday I was talking about my goals for the future, and I mentioned that I wanted to try and at least be more aware of new releases that were coming out in 2021. So this video is 11 new releases that have piqued my interest. So if you've been watching any of my recent videos, it probably comes as no surprise that I have quite a bit of fantasy and sci-fi on this list. That seems to be where my interest lies the most. I also have a few non-fiction books on here as well. I think one contemporary and one middle grade. Yeah, so let's get on with it. So the first one on my list is The Gilded Ones by Namina Forna, and this is a YA fantasy that will be released at least in the UK on the 4th of February. So I will say that these release dates are for the UK because I found them in the UK, so I think they'd only give me those dates. So I'm not too sure about timings for any other countries, just so you're aware of that. So this is a YA fantasy that follows 16-year-old Dacre, I think her name is pronounced maybe. And in this fantasy world, humans can either have blood that runs red or blood that runs gold. And if it runs gold, then you're basically categorized as a demon. And I think then you either have the choice of accepting your fate and being killed, or going off and fighting for some sort of army. And it's coming up to the day that Dacre finds out what colour her blood is, and then on that day she finds out her blood runs gold, and then she has to make some decisions about what to do next. And then I think she just goes on to learn that the world is maybe not quite what it seems. The second one on my list is a sci-fi fantasy, and it's Remote Control by Nnedi Okorafor, and this one comes out on the 19th of February. So yeah, I'm not too sure about what this book is. I think the description is kind of vague, but it's basically you're following a girl called Fatima who has to change her name, or she forgets her name or something like that, and she is adopted by Death and is kind of roaming the earth with a fox companion friend. And I don't know if she's doing the deeds for Death or what exactly is going on, but I think she can kill people just by looking at them or something like that. Yeah, so I'm really not too sure, but it sounds really interesting. It's another novella, and so Nnedi Okorafor, she wrote the Binti series, which are also novellas, and I'm reading the first Binti one this month in January. This kind of piqued my interest because Binti's already on my radar. I just think all her books sound really interesting, and I'm eager to give them a try. Okay, so third up on my list is a sci-fi book, and it's called Clara and the Sun, and this is written by Kazuo Ishiguro, and it comes out on the 2nd of March. So this one you're following an artificial friend who is being sold in a store, and you're kind of, I think you're seeing it from her perspective, and she's watching all the customers, and she's like kind of watching their behaviors and things like that, and she's waiting for someone to buy her, and I just think it sounds really interesting. When I read the description, it said that this story is a lot about like the meaning of love and stuff like that. I'd never heard of this author before, and then when I was like googling him to find some more information about him, I realized he's been around for ages, and he actually won the Nobel Prize in Literature in 2017. And so if I like this book, I will definitely go through his backlist. Even if I don't like this book, I think I'll give his backlist stuff a try, because he's won the Nobel Prize for it, so it must be pretty damn good. Fourth on my list is the third book in the Cursebreaker series by Brigid Kemmerer, and this is called A Vow So Bold and Deadly. I had to remind myself what it was called. And yeah, so this one comes out on the 26th of January. And I'm really excited about this one. This is the third book in the Cursebreaker series, the first one being A Curse So Dark and Lonely, and that was a Beauty and the Beast retelling. And yeah, the way the second book left off, it was all kind of leading up to something, and I think this is going to be what happens from that thing. Obviously I can't talk about it because it'll be major spoilers, but yeah, I'm really excited about that one. Okay, so book number 5 is a middle grade book, and I saw this book being talked about by Gavin on How to Train Your Gavin, who's like the middle grade king. And it's called Darwins Dragons, and it's by Lindsay Galvin, and this book comes out really soon, actually on the 7th of January, and it sounds really interesting. So it's like a historical fantasy that's set in the 1800s, and you're following this cabin boy who's on this voyage with Charles Darwin going to the Galapagos Islands, and then he one day gets I don't know, something happens and he ends up overboard and he ends up on a deserted island. And then because of the name, I assume that then he finds dragons on this island and has to like document them in some way. And yeah, that sounds right on my street. I think it sounds really cute, and I'm eager to give that a go this year, definitely. Okay, so number 6 on this list is the next book by Andy Weir, which is Project Hal Mary. And this one doesn't come out until May, so it comes out on the 4th of May, and it's another sci-fi. So Andy Weir wrote The Martian, and I have never read The Martian. I think I did start listening to it and then I didn't end up completing it, but I've watched the movie and I absolutely love it. I really, really enjoyed the movie. This book follows an astronaut who is the only survivor from something that's happened, and it's kind of on his shoulders to succeed in something, otherwise all humanity is going to die. But the kind of twist to that is that he has woken up and he doesn't realise that that's what he's doing. He doesn't know who he is, where he is, what's happening to him. He's just kind of lost his memory. So I think it just, follows I presume his memory's coming back and stuff like that. I didn't read too far into the blurb because it was quite long and I didn't want too many spoilers, if there were any there. So yeah, but I think it sounds really interesting, and I know that Andy Weir is loved by a lot of people, so I'm eager to try one of his books out. The 7th book on this list I saw Kayla talk about. So Kayla runs Books and Lala channel, and she really likes kind of weird magical realism books. And this one just sounded really interesting when she was talking about it in her like up and coming new releases that she did. And this book is called Switch, and it's by A.S. King, and it comes out on May 11th. I say it comes out on May 11th, but when I was looking, I actually couldn't find it on any UK sites. So I really hope it does come out in the UK, or if it's maybe just too long in advance that they haven't announced it yet, because I couldn't find it on Amazon or anything like that. So hopefully it comes out, because I think it sounds really interesting. And so in the story you're following True Beck, who's from Pennsylvania, and she lives in a world where time has like stopped, and so everybody is kind of going on virtual time because actual time has stopped running, which just sounds so weird in itself. And then in her house where she's living with her parents, I think, there's a switch and nobody knows what this switch does. And her dad just continually builds boxes around this switch. And that's all I really know about it. What interested me about it the most really was the time thing, and like the fact that time has stopped, but they're using virtual time. That just idea really interests me. So hopefully I'll be able to pick that up this year at some point. Okay, so the 8th one on the list is Open Water by Caleb Azuma Nelson. This is the only contemporary on the list. I don't know if I haven't really found any contemporary books that have really grabbed my attention particularly, but I thought I'd give this one a go, because this one follows 2 young people who meet in a pub in southeast London, and it's their story of them falling in love. They're both black British, and they both had won scholarships to go to private schools. Their experiences at private school are similar in that they both kind of felt like outsiders there a little bit and struggled to feel like they didn't really belong there. And then now they're both kind of in the arts world. I think someone's a photographer and someone is a dancer. And it says it's a story of their romance, but it's also kind of looking into race and looking into masculinity. And I think it's kind of a discussion on how they feel living in a society that kind of shoeboxes them into a certain stereotype, and then being like different from that stereotype, I think is kind of going to be the discussion in this book, and I just think it sounds really interesting and important. Okay, so they were all the fiction books I've got on this list, so the last 3 are non-fiction books. So number 9 on this list is Brown Baby, a memoir of race, family and home, and this is written by Nikesh Shukla, and it comes out on the 4th of February. So this book is, like it says in the title, is Nikesh's memoir of his life, and so Nikesh is the person who edited the Good Immigrant books, and there's one book that's kind of centered around stories from the UK, and one book that's centered around stories from the US, and Nikesh has edited both of those. And I did see him do an interesting kind of TED Talk interview thing in the summer when I was researching those the Good Immigrant books on why diverse stories matter. So I'll link that down below if you wanted to take a watch of it. But yeah, so after seeing his interview, I definitely want to pick up his memoir. The 10th book on the list is How to Avoid a Climate Disaster by Bill Gates, and this comes out on the 16th of February. There's quite a lot of February books on this list, I think. In this book, Bill Gates talks about the solutions that we already have, and then also kind of the breakthroughs that we still need to have in order to avoid disaster for the climate. I'll read you what it says. It says it's a wide-ranging, practical and accessible plan for how the world can get to zero greenhouse emissions in time. And I just think that sounds really interesting, so I'm eager to pick that one up too. And then the final one on the list is The Codebreaker by Walter Isaacson. So this book, oh, I didn't write when it comes out, but I think it comes out in February. If it's different, I'll write it on the screen somewhere. So this book tells the story of Jennifer Doudna and her colleagues actually inventing a thing called CRISPR, which is a DNA editor. And I believe she won the Nobel Prize for this in 2020 for chemistry. I really don't know anything about CRISPR, which is why I want to read the book. But yeah, it's kind of like a gene editor, like I said, so it can prevent genetic diseases that get passed down through families, and it has the potential to fight viruses and things like that. Which is obviously a very topical conversation as well. And yeah, and I think the book goes into a bit of discussion on, okay, so how far should we go with this piece of technology? Like, should parents be allowed to essentially manufacture their child in the way that they want? Can they make them taller? Can they give them a higher IQ and stuff? And that whole area, this is basically our future, right? Like, eventually we'll be able to do all of this stuff. Well, and it sounds like we could do it now. In some capacity. So should we, like, and how far should we go if we're going to prevent genetic diseases? Can't we change people's lives in other ways as well? It's just a really interesting kind of philosophical question that we're really heading into that futuristic world now where we're able to do things like that, and that absolutely fascinates me, so I'm really, really eager to pick this one up as well. Okay, so that was 11 books that I want to pick up this year. When I was researching them, there were like loads of other books that I was interested in as well, but these are the ones I narrowed it down to. So hopefully you've seen something that you're interested in as well. Cool, I hope everybody is doing well today. Sorry, I think the lighting is really bad. It's a really dreary day and rainy today, so sorry about that if it looks a bit rubbish. But anyway, I hope that you guys are doing well. Let me know if there's any books that you're super excited about coming out in 2021 that I haven't mentioned. And yeah, so that's it. So I will see you tomorrow for day 12, which is the final day. I can't believe that I've managed to do this, to be honest. Well, I say touch wood. Can't believe that I would have managed to do this. I'm shocked. But anyway, yeah, thank you so much for watching. I really, really appreciate it. And I will see you tomorrow. Bye, guys.